Hey guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today is day 8 of Ethany's hashtag 31 Days of Tarot 2020. And let's jump right into today's prompt, which asks what tarot books we read in 2019. I will say that I think I've only read one tarot specific book, but I also read a Kipper book, and I did a lot of other reading. Just when it comes to specifically tarot books, I didn't read too many of them in 2019, although 2019 was a really busy year for me. You know, if you saw my last video, my stalker card was the Fool card, so there was a lot of things that I kind of went out on a limb and tried and began in 2019, so it ended up being a rather busy year. So I keep in my bullet journals the books that I read, so I'll name off all the books that I read, and then I'll show you the ones that are more specific to cards. But well, let's see, we'll get to those other two, but I read the Numerology Romance in Your Name book, which was fantastic, and I ended up doing a whole little series based on that book, that numerology book, and I thought it was fascinating because I've already taken the dive into numerology before I read that book this past year, but I thought that that was just a unique take on numerology and the exercises that you could do, and just it was a lot of hands-on, which I am a very kinesthetic, visual learner. I guess I can be kind of auditory, but for me it's kinesthetic and visual, so that really helps. And I think you could make the argument that that could be kind of a tarot book, because in tarot I do look at the numbers. I do kind of I look for the numerology, and there is numerology in tarot, so it's kind of a tarot book. The other one was Bruja Born, and Bruja Born was a fictional book that I ended up giving out in a giveaway, or part of a giveaway. There was a few other things I gave out as well, and I thought it was so fun. It was fantastic. It was, what if there were communities of witches and it was like just it was no big thing. Like everybody had their own specific area that they were really good at in their witchcraft, both male and female. And it was, I don't know, I thought it was really interesting that, it was kind of like the general population that weren't raised as witches, like, knew that there were witches, but it was kind of like the unspoken, like nobody just is like, hey, I'm a witch. So it was pretty cool. I love Bruja Born. I've also read Healing Teas, the Green Wiccan Herbal book, the Hedge Witch Book of Days, Kitchen Medicine. So a lot of herbal tea, medicinal healing type books, because you know me, I'm a little green witch. So yeah, I love me, my teas, my plants, my roses, my everything. And if I need a little, usually put a little extra oomph in my teas every night, I put one rose petal from one of my roses in there. So there was that. I also read Legendary Ladies, which it was kind of like a geared towards young adults / adult, especially because of the little stories that were in there, probably more adult, but more appealing to a younger audience with the cartoons, but through the stories, I think more of an older audience. And it was just very interesting, a little blurb about specific gods and goddesses. And for me, I like to use it for bibliomancy, so I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so let's look at the actual deck books that I read in 2019, and the first one is the Card Geek's Guide to Kipper Cards by Toni Poole, and I love to follow the Card Geek on YouTube. She has a lot of really awesome videos. She's gained momentum, with subscribers, as she should, because she has so much knowledge, so much to put out there. She's just like cards, along with like gypsy cards and playing cards and Kipper cards. Sometimes she likes to use them all together, and just other kind of old-timey cards. I don't know, she's just really good, like knows her stuff inside and out. And So this book was really easy to read because I was a little intimidated by Kipper at first because, I already know a few card systems. It's always a little intimidating learning a new card system, especially when it's kind of Lenormand-ish. I would say ish, but it's more, it's German. It's got its own thing going on with it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I mean, if you want to take a look inside the book here, it'll give you the card. Is it a person card? What's its auspicion? Is it auspicious? Is it inauspicious? What type of card is it? Because there's more like flow cards and, people cards and stop cards and directional cards. And then traditionally, what would this mean in this particular type of reading? What's its significator? There's just a lot of information about each card. And so for me at first it was like, whoa. So it's not just like, oh, I read these cards and this means this, because they go different directions depending on like what's there, and that means this, and if it's next to this card it could mean this. And so for me it was a lot to take in, but I thought this book did an excellent job at taking away some of my reservations and my fears about trying a new system, and I got pretty darn good at it. So I am happy to say that, well, I also have her Kipper deck. That's the only Kipper deck that I have. And I'm good with it. I'm fine, So yes, the Card Geek's Guide to Kipper Cards. I would definitely recommend this if you're interested in getting into Kipper, or maybe you already know how to read Kipper and, you want to look at a different perspective. And an actual tarot book that I read in 2019 is How to Deal, Tarot for Everyday Life, written by Sammy Main, illustrated by Marissa de la Peña. And this is geared towards young adults, high schoolers, probably, maybe some middle schoolers. But I loved it mostly for the journal prompts. I thought it was interesting, when you get into a section like the Pentacles. I love the art, by the way. It tells you a little bit about like, what are the Pentacles? And it tells you, this is what the Ace of Pentacles means, or the Two of Pentacles. And although, yes, I do already know those meanings, I love to increase my vocabulary. I love that everybody has different perspectives, even though it's kind of the same meaning, just from a different perspective, depending on who's written these books or who's doing the reading. And I think that's fascinating. And I think that's good to be open to other people's perspectives and interpretations of cards that I already know so well. So I thought this was really good about increasing my vocabulary. And then at the end of each section, like here you have the Pentacles, you have all these journal prompts, which I did do. I did complete them in my journal, and I thought they were really thought-provoking, actually. A little more deep than you think something for just maybe some teenagers would go, but I thought it was pretty cool. And then at the end you have your majors, and then you have a little bit of journaling here. So like, let's say for this one, think back on the Lover's card. Who are some people in your life that are your best buddies or fab partners in crime? This can include the person you're dating too. Each person is an important part of your life, even if they play very different roles. I thought that was unique, so I had fun with the journal prompts. And then at the very end, it has a little tarot training for you to kind of help you out a little bit, maybe help test your skills in a different way. There's also a few spreads in the back here that were a lot of fun. There's one that I actually am utilizing for my readings for others, and that's the relationship spread. I thought it was really helpful, actually. And of course, it's got quite a few spreads in there. And that's it. There's just a little ending blurb. But yeah, I thought this was great. So, you can find this on Amazon. Not too much. For me, I think it was like $12 maybe. On the back here it says $15.99. I think I paid like $11 or $12. Yeah, but maybe you get it cheaper now. I don't know. But that was also a good book that I read in 2019. And then this one, I just have to include it because as I was looking through Ethany's prompts, there's not really we don't really talk about books all that much again throughout the rest of the prompts. So I'm like, well, I want to throw this in with the books that I read in 2019 because I did. And for me, I'm going to say it does relate to the tarot, and that I find the tarot to be a good self-help tool. You know, it's about, you know, going deep into my psyche and about finding stillness. You know, in a reading, you can't have your mind chaotic when you're trying to, you know, understand the guidance that's coming through, understand what the reading is trying to say, you know, so that you can help yourself. And this was all about having a still mind, and it was called No Mind. I mean, not the book title, but there was a lot of this like no mind. So this is called The Unfettered Mind by Takuan Suhu. And this is translated from Japanese. So this is from way back when, during samurai times. And this is about a Buddhist monk that is writing to one of the best samurai back in the day. And he's trying to help them become a better samurai. And there's a little bit at the beginning from the person who did the translation saying, you know, in a Western point of view, we might have a hard time understanding why a Buddhist who is all about, you know, for the most part, peace, would be telling somebody how to use their sword better in order to kill people. But the meaning of a sword in Japanese culture, it's a little bit more than just a implementation or an implement of death, you know. It's more than that. So I don't know, I just thought this was really good. It was very interesting, you know, about, you know, you can apply it to your everyday life, you know. I mean, we're not chopping people's heads off on a daily basis. But, you know, when you're having conflict with somebody, let's say, it says sometimes when we're in an argument with others, whether it's a heated argument or not, our mind is thinking of what our reply is going to be to that person. It says, and once you've put your mind into what your reply will be, you've lost the argument. Once you've put your mind into guessing what the other person is going to say, you've lost the argument. So it always talks about no mind. You just, living in flow is basically kind of what the whole gist of the book is about. And I thought it was fascinating. It was so interesting. Yeah. And even though, you know, I'm applying it to, you know, arguments, where here they're applying it to fighting. But it's just, I don't know, I thought it was cool. So definitely check it out. And actually, I didn't buy this book for myself. This was a gift from my homegirl Jasmina, and I didn't even know this book existed, but you know, I do love Japanese culture. So I mean, even in the back down there, it's in Japanese, but I was like, what? Yeah, and it's a quick little read because it's how many pages? It's under 100 pages. So you can read this in like a day. For me, it took a few days, but I was kind of busy. But yeah, I thought it was great. It was just about, you know, living in flow, and isn't the tarot supposed to help us with things like that? So I think it connects anyway. So anyway, that's it for me. Those were the books that I read in 2019. One of them actually being a tarot book. The other one's kind of related. Anyway, so that's it for me, spiritual homies. If you dug this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe, and don't forget to click that ding 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 notification bell for more videos just like this. And if you want to catch a reading from me, head over to www.kittenswaitsandtarot.com. And if you want to throw a little book money my way, think about joining that KWT tribe over at patreon.com/kittenswaitsandtarot. And there's a lot of free goodies over there, so definitely go check it out. All right, I will catch you spiritual homies later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.